Lots of people struggle trying to change or silence their harsh, critical inner voice with alternatives like positive affirmations. You can do it instead of saying you're a loser. But what if the solution isn't about changing that critical voice? Today, we'll share 5 solution focused questions designed to help you create the life you want, regardless of your self talk, and guide you toward the healthier future you want. See, every week we bring you practical questions and tools to stay on track when life gets messy. So please tap like if you find this useful, subscribe so you don't want to miss this next step, and share with a friend who's working on their health too. So back to self-talk. Here's the thing. Most of us try to manage self-talk by pushing it away or criticizing ourselves for even having it. But research shows nearly 80% of our daily thoughts lean negative. And much of that shows up in our self-talk. And it's not just in your head. Studies link persistent negative self-talk with higher cortisol levels, that stress hormone, poorer sleep quality, and greater risk of stress-related health problems. In other words, fighting this inner critic doesn't just drain your mood, it impacts your health. The real issue isn't that self-talk exists, it's how we respond to it. And that's where asking better questions come in. This came up recently in one of our recent Stamina Lab group coaching calls. The idea that the right question can do more than silence self-talk, it can unlock progress. Dr. Teplow, why is that shift so effective?
That's such a great question. This is a great topic. And I just wanted to underscore, that we talk about what we say to ourselves. We say to ourselves, and we rarely ask, well, what are we asking ourselves? And I think that's number one, the
That's
first
huge.
thing to recognize. Yeah. Yeah, huge is don't worry about what you ask yourself. Don't worry about what you're telling yourself. Ask yourself questions that produce answers that are more fruitful for you for living the way you want.
Because I think that's what we realize real quickly is that we can't control all those. The 80% of those negative self-talk messages, we can't control those. So trying to change that is impossible. It's asking that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. I mean, you can try and change it, you can reframe it, you can do the positive affirmations, but ultimately, no matter what you say, if you want your life to be better, if you want to live healthier, you got to do something different. So I want to stress that it's what's the result of whatever you're thinking in your head or feeling is like, it is a turn into action that's going to help you.
So we have 5 questions that we wanted to
Yeah.
talk about. So
So
let's start with dive in the first one. What is the first one?
Well, the first one I think is to ask yourself, what do I really want? Because so many times we think first of all about what we don't want. I don't want to be overeating or I don't want to be drinking so much. I shouldn't be doing that. I know that's not good for my health. And then that negative, that 80%, negative self-talk comes in. So, well, you know, how are you ever going to, you've never been able to stay away from chocolate before, or you just like to overeat, or you're just that kind of person. But we don't ask ourselves, but um, if that harsh critical voice were quiet, even just for a moment, what would I say about how I want to live in the future? Or even if that voice is loud, how do I want to live in the future? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as? What would I be pleased to see myself doing? I like that question. It's not one we often say, well, what would I want to be, in 5 years? But I like that. What would I be pleased to see myself doing even in 3 months or 1 month? That would be different from where I'm at now. And that has nothing to do with yourself.
Yeah, or even next week, or even next this weekend, or even the next hour.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
question? What's the question again? What would I
What
be
would I
pleased?
be pleased to see myself doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually asked that and I was going through a really hard day. I just was overwhelmed, so much to do. And I just said, it just popped into my head, at the end of the day, what would I be pleased to have seen myself do? It was so obvious. Well, one thing is take the vacuum out of your office and put it in the basement. Simple. And that started the momentum to do more and more things
So
and to be
I want to highlight something there. You said, what would I be pleased to see myself doing? Because we often say, "Well, I wouldn't, I don't want to do this. I won't be doing this. I don't want to do that." That's where we immediately go to. What would when you say, "Well, what would I would be pleased?" I'm like, well, I would be pleased if I don't do this. And I think one thing that's so interesting is our brain doesn't hear the word "don't" or doesn't. It just hears "don't eat cake, don't eat cake." All it hears is "eat cake, eat cake, eat cake," and so that's what gets reinforced in there. So by asking this question and being very intentional about the doing, not the absence of doing something or the negative. I think
Yeah.
you can rephrase that
Yeah,
better
yeah.
probably.
Actually, I had jotted down right before this call, approach versus avoidance goals. That's the clinical term. Avoidance goals are the things you don't want. But as you said, we know what cake tastes like. We know how it smells. We know how it looks. We know so yummy. But your brain doesn't know don't. So as soon as you say that avoidance goal, don't eat cake, the brain knows cake. So what we want are approach goals. That means what you're doing instead. And also I think what's important, so it's important to tell yourself, so what would I be pleased to have seen myself do? I end up at the end of the day or end of the week. I look back over the week. What would I be pleased to have seen myself do? That helps you with the approach goal. Oh, I would have, and if you say, well, I wouldn't have eaten so much, use the instead question. What would I have done instead? I would have
Drink
had
more
better,
water.
yeah, or better portion control or whatever. That's one thing. The other thing I think is that we get stuck with the strategy versus the river. So when we ask ourselves, what do we really want? What would we pleased to have seen ourselves do? We're talking about, we want to remember what difference will it make? And that's a second question. But when we think about, okay, we have this goal, but then what difference will it make? And so that's important. And remember, it's not the strategy. So let's say, I want to get in shape, and your inner voice comes in. Yeah, but you tried running and you suck at running. Yeah, but I want to run. Yeah, but and you can go on and on about running, forgetting, wait, what difference will it make to me? I'll be more active. Active will help me be healthier. So that's the other thing when you're talking about your, what future you want. What would I be pleased to see myself doing at the end of the day? What would I be pleased to have seen myself do? Maybe it's not running because, running is not for me. It's, I would have played hopscotch. I don't know.
Or it's raining, or it's even if you do like running, or it's raining outside, or it's hot. I'm in Austin in the afternoon. If I don't run in the morning, it's too hot outside. So, oh, okay, well then, and I can't do anything. Whatever. No, if my goal, my river, as we were saying, is, or my goal is to be more active, and what difference will it make? I'll be healthier. What difference would that make? I'll be able to do all the things I want to do with the people I love. Then I can say, okay, well, what else can I do? And even though it's hot outside, or it's raining outside, or it's cold outside, if we in the winter, if we live up north, what could I be doing instead that would still show that I'm a healthy person, or I'm trying to be active, that type of thing.
Yeah, and you said something about, I forgot what the word you used, but suggest other people, and that's the other thing when you're asking that difference question, what difference will it make to me, and what difference would it make to others around me? So, put those questions in the context of your life. We're social animals. We don't live in a vacuum, and while that harsh inner voice can keep going, ask yourself, who do I want to be seen as? What difference will it make? What difference will it make to the people around me that I love, that I care about? That's important, is
So
always put it in context.
just put it in context, yeah, with other people, and sometimes that helps you be more
Yes,
imaginative about things, because sometimes it's hard to vision yourself. But the second you say, "Oh, what would my partner or wife or kids or my colleagues see?" Then it's like, "Oh, well, of course they would see this," and it kind of opens up some new possibilities of thinking about what difference that will make.
absolutely. Even if, you can't think of other people, what would they notice that would tell them, "Yeah, something's gotten better?" A lot of dog owners that are very close to their dogs, they think their dogs can perceive the tiniest thing even before they think of it, feel it, or do it. And so, well, what my dog notice that would say, yeah, I'm making progress, or something's different, or a
That's
fly
good.
on the wall. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
that you're expanding the perspective beyond you, the harsh inner voice.
So we want to we're offering 5 questions, and I want to be very explicit for them because we kind of went into the one. So our first question is,
What do you want in your future? What will your better future look like?
And our second question is,
What difference will it make?
all right. And so we really delved into this. So what's our third question now?
So the third question, we can either use our hands, imaginative or a line, or we can use numbers. But I want to caution you when we're
You
talking
go this
about
way or this
numbers,
way. Yeah.
this is not like measuring, how many sit ups did you do today and how many will you do tomorrow. We're going to take a snapshot in time of where you're at and say, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 means I'm living the kind of life I want, and one's the opposite, where would I put myself today? So, yeah, it's either this, I'm right there, or I'm up here. You can use numbers, but don't get locked into, oh, well, if you're a this, it means that, and tomorrow I better be an X. It's a moment in time because it gives you perspective. So you ask, where are you on that scale? Where would you put yourself? We're not
So I'm a
rating
6.
you. Okay. So then the question is, so what makes me a 6? What puts me at that 6 and not just a 5? So this is counterintuitive because most people say, oh, what do I have to do to get a 7? If you knew, you'd have done it. So don't go there.
So I'm asking myself, I'm not a 5 because, I have gym shorts and I have I'm still going to use this thing because I can't go out and run because it's too hot. When I still have my gym shorts, I have energy. I have shoes. The gym's here in my building. Yeah, there's a bunch of different things that I could go do. There's a treadmill in there if I really want to run. I've eaten well for the days, hence the energy. Oh yeah, so there's a lot of reasons for that. Why I'm a 5 and not or why I'm a 6 and not a 5.
Exactly. And what that does is that if you're harsh and a critic, goes, oh, you're good for nothing. Oh, wait a sec. I'm not really good for nothing because look what I've already done. It helps put you in touch with what you're capable of. And also, you can say, okay, so now you have some choices. Will that work for me now? It can work for you. So, well, then the question is, okay, how will I do that? It could also say, well, yeah, I have all those. And that way I did it the last time, it didn't work, but I could do something else. Just thinking of what you already have starts that imagination and creativity process. So that's called scaling. So
And
scale.
and what happens when I hear when we do this with our clients, we hear almost every single time we do this exercise is that when you do that and you start listing out all the reasons you're one number and not the other number, the lower number, the shift in the mind or the mindset shift is that I'm further along than I thought I was. I'm doing more than I thought I was. And that's really where the thought of, I have some more resources that I can work with than you realized.
Yeah, and how do you get to that? Okay, well, I have the shoes at least. Then how do you get to this? You ask the what else question. Don't be satisfied with the first thing. This is hard. This is not, these are questions that you probably never asked yourself or asked yourself in this way. So it's going to be work. Working hard can get you. That's what gets you ahead.
So,
And so,
yeah, so I was gonna say that even with that what else question, you can play a game with that. You can set a timer. Say, okay, I'll do a set a 60-second timer, and how many can I come up with in 60 seconds? Or challenge myself I have to come up with 10 reasons why I'm a 6 and not a 5. And so you just make it a game too. So if it becomes a little bit of a struggle, it kind of helps, I think.
absolutely. Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. Make it a game or where's the evidence? Think put on your Sherlock Holmes hat and where's the evidence? Search for the evidence that tells you you are at that point and not lower. So that's one thing. That's our third question.
So we got preferred future. What difference will that make? And then this scaling question is, where
And
do I
what
fall on
else?
this?
What else?
What else? What else? What else? Yeah. So what's number 4?
Okay. And number 4 is it's the exemplification of the principle that nobody's perfect. You're perfect. You don't even do your problem perfectly. So that harsh inner voice might be really loud, but sometimes, and it might hold you up, but sometimes it either wasn't so loud or was loud, but it didn't hold you up. So ask yourself, when was a time where this inner voice was still going. Maybe it was loud, maybe it wasn't, but I still managed to take a useful step. What did I do? How did I do that? So you want to ask two kinds of questions. What did you do? That's a description of what you did. And how did you do it? Which is the process. Well, I told myself something different, or um, I let it just go on in my head and I just went out for the run. I tied my shoes and put on my shorts and went out anyway, even though it was saying,
Yeah, my harsh
no.
inner critic says, "You're too tired. I'm too tired. I'm still sore from last time. It's too early in the morning." And those are my top inner critic items. Like, oh, the bed is so comfy. You just want to stay here. Those are all the things. And yeah, so then ask myself, well, what have I done in the past, and how did I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
what
what
I've done
did
in the
you do?
what I have done in the past. This is a key. Is I put my clothes out that I'm gonna have to run in the night before. Uh, so that made it so there's just one less friction point. It's right there. It's right there. You don't have to do any extra work. Just go out the door.
Right, right. You can also, you said have fun with it. I also had fun with something that had such enduring effect. I didn't want to do the dishes, and my inner voice was saying, I'm just too tired. Yeah, mostly I'm too tired. I'm too tired. I'm too tired, but had to get done. And so I sang to myself.
Yeah.
It's like, "I don't wanna do it. I don't wanna do it. No, I don't. No." And I just kept singing the whole time. I organized all those pots and pans and dishes, and I did it, and I had so much fun, and it was so ridiculous that, the next day I still had to do the dishes every day. I thought about that. I didn't sing again, but the memory of my singing and how silly it was, that endured for months. It was interesting. So have fun with it because you never know what will work.
Yeah. And so have fun. And another thing I say that works well too in that same scenario I was talking about is that I go to meet other people that are going to be running too. So we're doing things with other people that really helps with any type of behavior change you want to do with it, or meeting your goals. Is how can you do it with other people?
Yeah, that's the context again. Or if you love music, put the music on. Think about your environmental context also.
Yeah.
If this
Okay.
were my
Go ahead. Go ahead.
if this were my best day, and in spite of my inner voice telling me you're too tired or whatever, what would I be doing that would be different? That would make this different, where I'd see myself making progress. Well, first thing, I wouldn't do those dishes, in the quiet of my house. I'd put on some loud music and have some fun.
That does sound fun. So all right. So preferred future. What would I be doing in this preferred future? How would that look like? What would I please to see myself doing? The key is doing. What difference would that make? That's our second question. And third was, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do I put myself that day, and why am I not one number lower? Yeah, to look for some things of evidence of what I am capable of doing, and what I already have. Then the next question is to what helped me do that in the
And what look
past.
for exceptions.
Yeah, looking for exceptions. And then what's the final fifth question?
Next step. And it's so the next step is the question to yourself of what's one small thing I could do in the next 24 hours that would let me know I am making progress, or even that would just increase the chances or the likelihood of my making progress, no matter what my self talk was. And the important thing about this, it's interesting because it shifts your perspective from like, okay, what's the next step I could take? Small. By saying 24 hours, you're constraining it time wise. You're not promising you're going to do it forever. It's not a habit. You just have to do it within the next 24 hours. So that gives you a second dimension that's not just the action, but there's a time. It's a short period. And you don't have to make a promise that your inner voice is going to say, you'll never keep it up because you always, fall off the wagon. It's just, what
That's
can I do?
important to say because everyone thinks about habits constantly. Well, how do I build this habit? How many days to build a habit? I need to make this systematic so that I'm always building a habit. And that can set you up for failure for behavior change and to reach the goals that you want to have, those health goals you want to have, because, oh, I need to have this habit for it to actually work. And I think that's a trap. And this next step of what I'm going to do in the next 24 hours, even the smallest thing that knows that I'm moving forward, it gives you many paths to the same river that we talk about. There's so many different ways to still reach that be healthy, be active, be healthy goal, or whatever you want to put into your river. there that it gives you so many different ways. It doesn't have to be that specific habit. And that's really where I think the power of this approach comes in, is to be able to have those many paths to the same river.
Yeah, and we know from, for instance, alpine mountaineering, people like climbing Everest, they're not they of course they wanna get to the summit, but when they're at 27,000 feet, their sole goal is one more step, period. They take that step, and then they do what it takes to take one more step. Those steps add up, of course. God willing, they make it to the summit without dying, but it's just one step at a time, and that's what that 24-hour goal, and it doesn't even have to be something you do. I mean, it is something you do that just increases the likelihood of action in the future. So it could be, I'll think about it, I'll write myself a note, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. It's that you're making some kind of progress.
Excellent. So the 5 questions are: your preferred future. What would I be pleased to see myself doing? What difference would that make? What else? What else? Oh no, what difference would it make? In the scaling question, on 1 to 10, where do I fall in that? Why am I not one number lower? What else? What else? Play games with that. Play games throughout the whole thing. Look for exceptions when you were able to do things in the past, or what helped you do this. The how and the why and the how questions.
The what, and the how.
What and the how question, yeah. And then the last one is, what's one thing, even the smallest thing I could be doing in the next 24 hours that would help me move me towards that. I really love that illustration of I'm at just the top of the mountain, because they can't think the whole thing. It's just one step. One step will help me get to that goal. That's a beautiful metaphor there. So it sounds like a fantastic place for us to wrap up. We go deep into all of these items in our upcoming self-talk mastery quest. This is one of our most popular quests, and because it has so much resonation with what we think about all day, 80% of our thoughts are just flowing through there. And if we can harness that in a way that will strengthen our mental, emotional resilience, reduce our stress, and build unshakable confidence, you can achieve anything. You can hit that summit of that mountain one step at a time. So that begins on September 22nd, and we'll have more information about that in our show notes here. We also have a self-talk style assessment quiz, and you can uncover what your self-talk style is and what it means for your resilience, focus, and your health span. And we also have you also get a solution-focused question to ask yourself, depending on what your self-talk style is, that can help move you forward. All that is free and available for you on our website. We'll link it in our show notes. If you want to learn more about our unique solution-focused approach and book a complimentary coaching session, visit staminalab.io. Please leave your comments and questions in below. We'd love to answer those. Thank you, Dr. Teplow. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next time, remember, you are your own lab, you are your own experiment, and you are your own best coach. Be well.